It's time for a big announcement from one of our biggest music superstars. Kate Ceberano is celebrating 40 years on the road with a brand new tour across regional Australia. It's happening in June, July and August. The Australian-made tour will showcase the biggest hits of Kate's career, alongside some of our most iconic anthems from John Farnham, Jimmy Barnes, In Excess, Divinals and more.
And the new tour is a full circle moment for Kate. She was just 20 when she took part in the legendary original Australian-made tour of the 80s. And Kate Ceberano joins us in the studio. It's so nice to see you. Take us back first to that Australian-made tour in the 80s. I mean, does it feel like a full circle moment for you going back to it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, a lot of life has changed in 40 years, certainly in the industry.
Yeah.
Back then it was pretty feral.
Hang on, In Excess and Jimmy Barnes. Let's go back to that.
Well, I mean, without putting a bit of a sad spin on it, if you think about it, I'm like the last of the Mohicans. Yeah. Jimmy and I were the last standing of that whole tour.
Yeah.
Right.
Every iconic artist you see in the lineup are no longer with us. And so I've respectfully kind of avoided performing and taking their moment. But with these people no longer with us, not touring, I figured Australian music needs to be put back on the plate. It needs to be identifiably ours, and these are people who were the first pioneers of that sound of Australia. And so I just thought, OK, this is it, 40 years. You have no more excuses, Kate Ceberano. You've got to come back and give people their memories, the soundtrack to their memories. That's what I'm doing.
Good on you.
I mean, you're so right, because a whole generation of Aussies are missing out on some of those bands performing. I love that you are putting your own spin on it.
Yeah,
and bringing it back to the audience as well. I mean, just take us through, you know, some of your favourite things that you want to do on this tour and some of the bands and songs that you want to sing.
Well, if you think about the 70s, it was pretty close to the 80s. And I say that only because that seems so far away for especially someone like my kid at 21. She's like, wow, that's like in the dinosaur age, you know. And then you add that to new and emerging artists who are just now in their teens and starting. We were a very communal community, the AC/DC or the Models or the Nick Cave. We were all in each other's peripheral all the time. Yeah. So I'd go and see gigs down in Melbourne on the Strip, and I'd see bands like, well, I'd see the Early Birthday Party, but you'd marry it up with Hunters and Collectors. Yeah. And then I opened up for Chrissy Amphlett at 16 and Renee Gayer.
My goodness.
And so I'm going to be putting up on the plate the inspiration through their songs. Yeah. And then I'm going to show them the songs that I wrote that was in tribute to them. Yeah. And then all the stories that connect the dots, because before social media, none of this stuff is documented. It's just hearsay.
Exactly.
It's just hearsay. In fact, I'm making it all up.
Wow.
And no one's going to be there to tell me otherwise.
And we don't care.
No.
Because the stories are great, and especially behind the scenes. And we're going to hear a bit about that on the tour as well. Kate, it is so lovely to see you.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Great. What a brilliant idea. Thank you, Kate Ceberano. She's touring the country. It's in June, July and August, and all the tickets to all the shows are available today at her website, kateceberano.com. Really easy to remember.
And all those young kids out there, you don't want to miss it. Well, the cyclone